Welcome to Live the Dream with yours truly, Marty Kaiser. Buckle up and let's get started. Good afternoon. Happy Friday. This is Marty Kaiser with our Friday edition of Real Estate Tidbits. I'm going to make this one pretty brief in recognition to the tragedies that we suffered this week. And I don't really feel like talking about real estate when there's more important things. So I'll make this kind of brief because I'm not going to belabor the point. I'm sure everybody's seen a lot of the media information. So the few things that I'll say is I think everybody needs to give some deep thought to the type of discourse we have in this country between people of opposing views. As you know, I've given my opinions on some social topics on this podcast, and I've tried to keep my opinion strictly as my opinions based on facts, and I don't denigrate other people's opinions. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That being said, I do think that, putting facts in context is very important. As you've noted, if you've watched some of the different media outlets on television, the one consistent theme, which has really got me concerned, and it's a distortion of facts, is what President Trump has said when he has blamed what he calls the left-wing radicals, the crazies, the Democrats, the extremists, whatever the case may be. These differences of opinion that we have that have escalated, unfortunately, dramatically over the years, both parties are responsible for, or both sides of the coin that have differing opinions about politics or really how the United States should function. But if you go back and think for a few minutes, the political discourse has gotten dramatically heated up since 2015. Plenty of people disagreed before 2015, but President Trump's style of politics, which has been very successful in getting him elected, has been to name call and do a lot of other things for people that he doesn't feel share the same feelings as him, or that he feels are detrimental to the United States. He's the one that's ramped up this stuff to these record proportions. And he's even doing it now when he's talked about the death of this gentleman that happened this week. So I think people need to be aware of that. Unfortunately, the media members are for the most part intimidated by President Trump. And of course, people on his party are intimidated by him. So that message is not being sent, and I don't understand it. It's clearly on tape, thousands of times that you hear him insulting people. So I think that needs to be thought about. The other thing that I think is disappointing that it hasn't gotten the attention this week is the same day that Charlie Kirk was tragically assassinated, we had a school shooting in Colorado. 3 people were critically injured. And, that was reported kind of as an afterthought. All the emphasis, because it was a higher profile case, was to the assassination that we had. So again, I bring that up because regardless of anybody's opinions on a lot of things, one fact is irrefutable. We keep having these gun tragedies of a mass nature, and they've been going on in this country in terms of, I would say, somewhat recency for the past 60 years. We had 3 famous people in the political arena killed in the 1960s, which happened to all be more moderate or democratic thinking people. We had President John F. Kennedy Jr., we had his brother Robert F. Kennedy, and then we had Martin Luther King, the peaceful civil rights leader. So those gentlemen were all assassinated in the 1960s. Then we had President Ronald Reagan, who was a conservative Republican. They attempted to assassinate him in the 1970s, and fortunately he survived that. Then we started with these series of mass school shootings in the 1990s. And then we've just had untold tragedies in the 21st century over the last 20 plus years. And, Mr. Kirk's philosophy that they quoted after this tragedy was that he basically said that in order to protect our gun rights, we're going to have gun deaths, and they're just inevitable. Well, I unfortunately don't agree with that position. I can't accept that all these gun deaths we're continually having are acceptable in what's supposed to be a democratic and civilized society. Nobody's advocating for the banning of guns, but just putting some reasonable policies to try to limit the type of guns that are being sold. There's no reason why automatic weapon-related guns should be sold to anyone, and there needs to be better controls on who gets guns. Right now, you can still privately sell guns or go to gun shows, and they don't have to go through the same regulation that people that buy guns through more traditional methods. So I'd like everybody to give some thought to that. We'll regroup on this coming Tuesday, and we'll go back to our more typical format where, we discuss real estate and whatever issues I feel would be a good combination with real estate. Again, my thoughts and prayers to everyone that has been affected by these tragedies. And this is Marty Kaiser out.